The Scope 3 Explorer helps you to explore which of those 15 Scope 3 categories actually are relevant for your business. For some businesses that might be business travel, but that might not be relevant for others who purchase a lot of goods or who sell goods that use electricity. So you answer just a few questions and then we'll provide you with an overview of which of those categories are relevant for you and how you can go about reducing those emissions. Well, it's about identifying where in your value chain most of your emissions sit that you can then reduce. For a lot of businesses, the Scope 3 emissions are the majority of the emissions. A lot of people would argue, well, there's someone else's emissions, but only by identifying where do you co-own those emissions with someone else, you collaboratively can tackle them and bring them down. And it is all about collaboration. But it's SDG 17 for you to tackle SDG 30. A lot of conversations that we have with clients and partners is, where do we start with Scope 3? Which categories are relevant? I don't have data on commuting. And the thing is, commuting might not be the most relevant one. And there is no hard and fast rule in any of the standards on which of the categories, the 15 Scope 3 categories, are relevant for a type of business. But we needed to find a really good guidance in how to identify the most relevant ones to focus on, rather than focusing on a category that actually doesn't really contribute that much. So one of the benefits, it's really just answering a number of very simple questions, but then it also gives you in this category that is now relevant for you, which we've just established, these are the key emission sources to look for. This is a type of data you need to collect. These are some ideas of what you can do to reduce those emissions. And having that understanding, you can talk to your supply chain partners who are the co-owners of those emissions to actually bring them down. So it's identifying what are there and then how do you find the data, what can you do about them. So the Scope 3 Explorer helps you to identify which other emissions we need to tackle. Next is how do we actually reduce those, but carbon also is just one of the topics we need to address. So we need to find ways of easily identifying links to the other SDGs or other disciplines, like for example, circular economy. Where is the overlap between circular economy and carbon, for example? How can we find approaches that actually address ideally both, but not only solve one problem at the detriment of another one? So it's those interlinkages that need to come next.